Now, we're looking to talk about establishing your local process. And this is for non-military and military. And so we recommend that you establish a CPL contact for the college. And for our college, we have an email, cpl at norfolkcollege.edu. And Allison, Shelley, do you all have, where's the first stop for a student on CPL?
So for our district, we have a district website, and with the district website, it has a contact person at each college, and that's how we do it. So
Great.
there's a primary contact.
Is that a counselor or is it classified? Is it a
They're
dean?
they're faculty positions, and we have CPL coordinators for the different colleges, so they're faculty positions.
Great.
For the LACCD, it's a little more college-based for West, and then so West LA, we created a work group that was led by an administrator and a faculty member, and our faculty member coordinator is actually our articulation officer, who is not a counselor, but so that's worked well for us, and we have members that are the work group that include both academic affairs and student affairs. So kind of to ensure that the student journey, all the folks that are going to touch a student through the process are involved, so we can make sure that we're building a student-centered process that to remove obstacles and barriers. So for us, that's how we worked, and we have a shared CPL petition email box. We do call it a petition for when students apply, so we can get all the evidence in and have it reviewed. So that's how we work it. And we have both a combination of classified and faculty that monitor and check and respond to that mailbox every day.
Every day. That's great. And I think that's fairly unique in the state. And maybe that's reflective of your progress, I think, by having that. Okay, so establishing that primary contact and assigning what we're calling a map strike team, which would be a core team of folks who regularly meet, maybe every week or every other week, just to work through CPL requests from students, work through pending JST analyses for service members or potential industry CPL that can be had. And I know that Allison at West LA, you all meet every other week to discuss, or how does that work?
Well, right now, since our work group meets monthly. And then I forgot to mention, we do have faculty discipline reps on that committee as well, because we've had some early adopters, mostly in the dental hygiene, dental assisting, real estate, paramedicine, computer science, who have adopted some form of CPL. And I just want to also mention that our curriculum chair and our curriculum committee are very involved in the CPL process, and that both our AO and our classified person for CPL both have seats on the curriculum and are involved in the tech review of courses new and updates to give them the opportunity to review the evidence descriptions up front for courses, so we can make sure that it's written very clearly, because the initial folks who are receiving the petitions from students are not necessarily discipline experts, because it's impossible to have a person for every single discipline. But that's really, I think, key, that the process that we've set up, when we do receive it, we do engage the faculty discipline to ensure that the evidence aligns with the descriptions and what they approved.
Great.
And Sam, we have a group for MAP that meets every other week.
Every other week.
Mm-hmm. And that's composed of faculty.
And the faculty, are they getting extra pay to do this? They're getting some sort of special project, reassign time, release time, just doing it because because they feel it's important?
For our faculty, it's part of their 10+1. It's part of their new curriculum, it's part of their curriculum updates that they're responsible for. So not for our faculty. I mean, our coordinator has some release time.
Mhm.
Well, you know, that is an advantage of blending it into your curriculum process, Allison. It just occurred to me that's genius, actually, because it is part of curriculum. It is a curricular decision. But you know, we've noted that in the past we haven't seen credit for prior learning appear as a phrase, as in a duty, as a duty on anyone's job description. But certainly, curriculum and program development maintenance is a core duty. Okay, let's see. On the second to the last bullet, establishing transcribing norms. That's been a big question we've had from the cohort colleges. And to tell you the truth, it's one of the first questions. How should we transcribe this? Tell us how we should do it. And we're not ready to say that. In fact, we've we're convening a work group on this. If you're interested in being involved in it, let me know. But we're convening a work group on this that will be chaired by Guire Schuler out of Santa Barbara City College. And we're going to come up with norms that we recommend for transcribing. And we're trying to come up with norms that will transcend the Banner PeopleSoft colleague anthology requirements and be able to work in any ERP. That's going to be a tall order. We're not sure if we'll get there, but I guess you need to have a discussion of how we're going to transcribe CPL. And I think San Diego does it different than West LA, which does it different than we do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we transcribe it. We will put credit for prior learning and then the type. So credit for prior learning, credit by exam, credit for prior learning, industry certification. And we put it on the semester, the student petitions for it.
That means you probably create a shell course for each one so that you can place it into the semester, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And then the grading, if the student gets a grade or the pass or no pass.
Okay.
LACCD, I think, is in the midst. We're going to participate in that transcription norming work group, but for credit by exam, we do the course specific section and semester term, but for the rest of the CPL, we're notating it like we do AP exams.
Yeah, that's what we do in Riverside as well. And when we notate it, it's not by term. And we're not creating a shell course for it. So those are just different procedures that we probably need to talk about, and we would not be prescribing procedures. We would just be talking about, here's one way to do it. Here's another way.
For our first few hundred that we did we did a section by term year, and now with this new decision that the district made, our A&R staff are very pleased.
I bet you they're very pleased.
It's the workload issue.
Yeah. Yeah. So, hey, that's a nice outcome. Usually with CPL, it's like, hey, don't give me more work. But in this case, it resulted in less work. Okay. And then the last bullet is just consolidating CPL planning process data in one system. And that, I know, Allison, you've been working to do that in MAP. And we've been working closely with West LA because they're sort of a proof of concept guinea pig on creating all the functionality needed to create the CPL, to document it, to notify stakeholders, including the students, and then be able to report out on it and have it go to A&R, be available to A&R for that last step, which is transcribing. And so we're working with West LA on a notification system to be added in MAP for the student steps, to try and figure out, okay, how do we simplify it so that everyone gets notified who needs to be notified and documents are stored appropriately. And so that is what we are working on, and that'll be new functionality coming up soon.
There was a question in the chat, Sam, about showing it on the transcript as a Title V requirement. So I just wanted to verify that, yes, it is a Title V requirement, but it's how you do that. Title V doesn't dictate how it's transcribed, just that it has to be transcribed.
Thank you. Yes. Yes, and our CSU partners have been really straight with us that they would like to see it transcribed, especially the area credit, because what we found when we started working with the CSU over a year ago, we did a survey of their tests, their public test sites, and that's one of the reasons Dr. Foster mentioned that they are requiring all the CSUs to use tests now and make it public facing. When we did a survey of their test articulations, we found that 5 of them were giving area A1 credit and for one of the golden 4 for communication. And that was kind of news to the CSU and news to us. It was great news that some of the CSUs were saying, why are you forcing students to repeat public address, public speaking when we give them credit for it when they get here? And it forced the discussion on transcribing area credit and not being afraid to do that. And especially even for Golden 4, because they're already clearing those areas for them when they come to the CSU with certain credit recommendations on their JST.
Sam, there's a question in the chat about CPL being used for learning that has primarily occurred from an unaccredited college.
Yeah.
For us, we would recommend maybe a credit by exam.
Yeah.
I don't know how West LA and Norco is doing this.
Yeah, I think credit by exam would be my first inclination, unless there is an assessment done because, for instance, there are non-accredited institutions that are certified and authorized to give to teach and then test for industry certifications. And so if there is an assessment for an industry certification that's accepted by the field, you can crosswalk those assessment competencies to your course competencies and then create credit for prior learning without doing credit by exam. For instance, like EMT or CPR can be crosswalked. You can take it at a non-accredited institution and then crosswalk it based on the competencies that are assessed and certified. That's pretty common. Okay, let's blast through this next one. This is for military only. We're recommending that you collect all JSTs, and we have another session going on right now that discusses how to do batch upload of your JSTs. It's a very convenient way to collect all your JSTs. When you do, you need to notify your students that you're doing that on their behalf and give them a chance to opt out so that you comply with the privacy requirements of the Department of Defense. But the VA in their annual compliance visits is now checking colleges through a contractor, and you may have been visited through your VRC this year by a contractor who says, give me, and they want to spot check 25 of your JST records, your service members records who are certified for their post-alignment GI Bill benefits, and you have to show that you have their JST, that you've analyzed it, that you've given them an opportunity for appropriate credit. And so that's only going to get more stringent, and that is being added as well to the Chancellor's Office audit list of things to audit for. So we want to be careful to collect those JSTs, analyze them, and we upload those into MAP and store those and parse those and make that easy. And through that, the next big bullet is just to be able to document those awards for the VA, because it's coming, it's happening right now. Our own colleges in the district were audited, and we had to show proof of this.